Definitely do something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So you want to start off with that? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, first introduce yourself.
All right. So, hi, my name is Dan Moen, and I was born in the Philippines in 1988, and I was adopted and brought to the United States when I was 8 months old. I grew up in a little town called Washington Township, which is really close to Romeo, because nobody really knows where Washington is, so I always say Washington Romeo in Michigan. And I was adopted by two wonderful parents, and I have a younger sister who we are not biologically related, and we all grew up together in that town. I went to Romeo High School, and I grew up around a lot of friends and people, and I always kind of felt a little bit different growing up, mostly because where I grew up wasn't super diverse. So I had my mom, there was that feeling of like, okay, I'm around at least other people who are Filipino, and we had what we call Filipino Day. For a lot of adoptees, I didn't even know this term until later in life, but it's your gotcha day. So our gotcha day or Filipino Day was where my family would get our adoption papers out. We would talk about the adoption experience, both my sister and I, and how much they love us, and then we'd get gifts. So it was always celebrated in our household, even at a very young age. It was never shielded from us about the adoption. And it always kind of felt like an empowerment feeling. So when we were adopted, my family was given this little album. And this little album had my baby pictures, pictures of the orphanage, all that stuff in there. But there was also written stories in there. And in there, somebody handwritten the entire story of my bio mom. And that's what I used as my reference point to try to find my bio family. Fast forward, getting into high school now, that's when my heritage started to really start to kick in. And it was going from cultural interest to now personal life story. I did not know who my bio family was, and I really wanted to know who they were. So in 2015, I started talking to my partner. My partner, Joe, and I, we've been together now for 15 years as of this year. And we met in 2010, yes, at Macomb. And I remember we were having this whole conversation talking about my adoption. And Joe suggested, why don't you take that information and just kind of search on Facebook or something? Just send DMs, whatever. And I did. I used the information that was in that album to have as a base ground for me to search. So I used the clues in there. So the names, the locations, all that. And I sent out a bunch of messages to people on Facebook, and I said, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm not looking for money. I was adopted at this age. I was just curious if you happen to know anybody by the name of blah, blah, blah. Did a follow-up in 2017. I think it was around January or February. And one guy actually got back to me. Okay, sir, I'll send you over to my aunt who lives in Texas. And he connected me with her. Her name is Joy. I call her Tita Joy. It's like Auntie Joy. She's older than me. So Tita Joy and I started talking back and forth, and I was telling her my life story. And she works with kids in schools, so she had a huge passion for this opportunity. And she was messaging me, and I was talking to her, and we were like, okay, are we even related? So she did a DNA test on Ancestry.com. I already had my account up there because I already did an Ancestry account. So I did my DNA and everything, and we matched. So we're like, okay, it is confirmed, you are family. And there were aunties, there were titas who were just like, he's definitely one of us. Like, look at his face, look at this, look at this. It was like, it was awesome. So that feeling of belonging was becoming pretty powerful at that point. So fast forwarding, and I remember she messaged me and was like, we found your bio mom. Hesitant, I'll be honest. So when she messaged me that, I remember I was very like struck. And she was like, she wants to meet you on video chat on this random date, whatever date, and we set it up. And I remember telling my dad, I'm like, you gotta get on this thing.
Kita tayo. She said she wants to see you.
I want to see her too. And we were talking back and forth, and she was just apologizing up a storm. And we're like, it's okay. We just wanted to meet you. And that night, it was just like, oh my God. We spent like 2 hours longer. I don't even remember how long we were on that video call, but we were just talking up a storm, like immense. It turns out my Tita Joy wanted to have a family reunion that year. And they were on the fence if they're gonna do it or not. Now, this is what she told me. Because you came back into the family, they all pushed to make sure to have this family reunion. I believe we went, I think it was in June of that year. I could be wrong, but I remember it just being hot. And my dad and I flew there, and we got to go to this family reunion. and meet a bunch of family members that I knew nothing about. And it felt really very surreal because all these people share my blood. They share my DNA. Growing up, for people who are not adopted, may not 100% understand that feeling of the people around you are your friends, they are your family, they are whoever, and that's wonderful. But there was always this like deeper feeling of like, there was a really deep feeling of like, we share DNA, we share like ancestors together. Then the day came where we were going to actually meet my bio mom. So during this family reunion, this was from one side of the family. My bio mom is from a different side of the family. So the day came and we get into this jeepney and we're riding in this jeepney to go see my bio mom. And we're going over all these like rocky roads and all this other stuff. My dad's in there. And we go through and we get to this little house, well, like little village area, really. And we get out and I'm walking up. This is it. I want this captured for sure, just for memory's sake. So I gave the phone to my dad, and my dad's filming this whole situation, and my bio mom is sitting right there, and we just lost it. The little village we were around, we had a bunch of neighbors kind of poke their heads in. There was like a lot of people around this little house, and they were all curious about what was going on, and they saw the emotion and everything, and we're explaining to them, both in English and in Bisaya, like he's an adoptee. He was raised in the US, came back to the Philippines looking for his bio mom. Growing up, I had a lot of anxiety not knowing if I had any bio family left. Now, realistically, there's always gonna be somebody out there, but I didn't know anybody. And there was always that feeling of like, am I the last of me? I don't know, that kind of thing. So when not only did I find my bio mom, but like an entire thriving family, and I'm still meeting new cousins to this day. Like I'm still meeting more relatives. It was just, it altered life drastically. The sad thing is though, is after, about 2 or 3 months after I met my bio mom, she passed away. She was battling cervical cancer during that time. And just the thought of how everything played out is wild.
Right. I'm sure it was the blessing she was asking for this whole time, to know that you're okay, that you're thriving, healthy, happy. And to
Yeah.
meet her son towards the end of her life, it's just like, the timing was impeccable.
The timing was like, I made sure to record everything because I was like, this is like a movie to a T. So on my personal YouTube channel, I documented everything that I could. And then PBS actually did a documentary on me. So yeah, there's a whole series out there. They have a series that's called One Detroit. And I've heard that they still air it. So during May, which is Asian American Pacific Month, they'll highlight notable Asian Americans they've interviewed in the past. And I've been told, like, friends would be like, hey, you were on PBS. And I'm like, oh my God, they're still airing that. You know, actually, it's funny that I'm even talking about this. I just realized something. It's November.
Yeah.
November is National Adoption Awareness Month, along with foster care awareness. So, wow.
This was meant to be.
This was really meant to be. Like, it literally just clicked in my head. I was like, wait a minute. It's November.
Yeah.
This is our month.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.